Is education killing creativity? Sir Ken Robinson.
Yes. Any questions? I was born in 1950. Now, let me say immediately that I know you don't believe that. I feel the incredulity sweeping towards me. How can this be, you are thinking? He is so boyish. I understand that. But I live in Los Angeles now, in California. So there. And you don't. And I've had work done. You know, very little of this is original. But I've been around long enough, truthfully, to have seen this wheel keep coming round. What happens from time to time is that politicians of all parties, and by the way, I hate to say, I'm not making a party political argument of any sort here, but politicians of all parties normally come to office with a cry of let's get back to basics. And it was true of the last administration, it's true of the administration before it, it's the battle cry of new secretaries of state, as if they uniquely in the whole of human history have seen through the nonsense and are going to set forward a clear path into the future. The problem is that as often as not, politicians, when they say, let's get back to basics, don't mean that. What they mean is a group of subjects that they took when they were at school. And typically, in our current system in Britain, in England, I should say, we're being pressed back to this hierarchy of subjects which has characterized education pretty much from the beginning of public education. Imagination is the most remarkable human quality. It's the ability to bring to mind things that aren't present to our senses, the ability to step outside the present moment and to conjure up mental conceptions. With imagination, you can visit the past. You have a past to visit. You can visit the worldview of other people. It's the seat of empathy, of how we connect with other people's frames of mind and their feelings. And you can anticipate the future. I don't believe that you can predict the future, not in the world of human affairs. You can in the inanimate world. I mean, I think we know when the next eclipse of the moon is going to be and when Halley's Comet's coming back, but so far as human culture is concerned, it's almost impossible to predict. It's too complicated. There are too many cross-currents and vortices to be able to see it properly. Creativity is the child of imagination. It's the reason that we're sitting in a building wearing clothes and I've got a microphone and we can build these things. I mean, some animals are capable of using tools and making things, but no animal on Earth, apart from human beings, is capable of doing that so far as we know. Or they haven't anyway, not yet. And it's not because they're categorically different in every respect. In most respects, we're like the rest of life on Earth. Life is short and fragile and interdependent. And we depend on the natural world, the natural environment. And too many of us have assumed that we can live without the beneficence of the natural environment, and we're finding out about that right now. My brother John's here today, and my other brother Neil have got a fantastic website called The Peaceful Planet, which I recommend you take a look at, because it's about ecology and about the interdependence of things. But human beings are unique in this respect, that we can step outside the present and we can literally create the world that we want to live in, which is what culture is, essentially. We create culture. And other species may be evolving at the same rate as biologically. I think they are. I mean, we're still evolving, aren't we? I speak personally. But, I assume this isn't as good as it gets. I can't imagine we're nature's last word, can you? It's a bit of a dismal ambition if this is all that nature came up with, frankly. But culturally, we're in a different place. If you have a dog, they're not evolving much culturally, are they? Are they? You don't have to keep checking in with dogs, do you? To see what the latest thing is. Like, what's new with you people? Not much. We're kind of still doing the thing. We're still doing that tree thing. But with human beings, there's always something new. We're always on to the next thing. And it's because we have this power to conceive of alternatives and to bring them into being. The power of creativity. I define it more specifically. It's the ability to bring to mind things that aren't present. to the senses, that's what I mean by imagination. Creativity is the application of imagination. I define it as the process of having original ideas that have value. And the truth is, you can't be creative unless you do something. You wouldn't describe anybody as creative who never did anything. You could be imaginative all day long, but if you didn't do anything, there would be no evidence that you were a creative person. You know, you wouldn't say to somebody they're tremendously creative, or what have they done? Nothing. It's a positive and active process to be creative. And I believe that we all have immense natural capacities for creativity, but we often don't develop the abilities that are required for creativity to become an active part of our lives, a central part. And if we know anything about human beings, it's that human ability is tremendously diverse. We are organic creatures, and human beings are like every other form of organic life on Earth. There is a massive range of biodiversity here. And the problem, I think, is that our education systems are not based on the celebration of diversity, but on the promotion of conformity, and increasingly of standardization. So in schools, for example, and particularly this is the problem with something like the English Baccalaureate, I believe, a certain set of standards, of abilities, are promoted above all others. And so people who aren't good at the things that they are required to be good at may conclude they're not good at anything as a consequence. I know lots of people who go through schools who are brilliant at maths and others who aren't good at maths and conclude they're just not very smart because they're not good at the thing they're meant to be good at, rather than the schools encourage them to find the things they may also be good at. And in the element, I interviewed lots of people, many of whom didn't do well at school. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mean to say that to succeed you have to have failed at school. Lots of people go through our current system and love it and do well from it. I was doing a radio interview the other day, and one of the things I have to say that I found disappointing was when the Secretary of State pointed out that of the 600,000 children in school who start school, 80,000 of them each year are on school meals. You know, free school meals, so they're coming from relatively low-income backgrounds for no fault of theirs or anybody else's, very probably. And he said, you know, of those, only 40 kids this year from low-income backgrounds got into Oxbridge. As if this was the ultimate indictment of education. That if you don't go to Oxbridge, that's the end of it. I can't abide this attitude. Firstly, not everybody wants to go to university. Other people have other lives they want to lead, and the country and our communities depend upon people following a multiplicity of possible life choices. Some people want to go straight to work. Some people want to take vocational programs. Universities were always intended for a particular type of activity. And we are still, though, dominated by this idea. If you don't go to college and get a degree, your life is over. Despite the evidence of the fact that many people are now leaving universities and going home because they can't find a job. The reason degrees used to be worth so much is because very few people have them. It used to be something like 1 in 20 people had a degree. Well, now it's virtually 1 in 2. So the currency value has plummeted. But somewhere in the current political programme is the view that the ultimate aim of going to school is to go to university. And it sends a message to people who don't want to go, or who don't want to go now, or for whatever reason find themselves not able to go, that they are also rounds in education. That only 40 people from low-income families of the 80,000 went to Oxbridge. So if you start from the premise that going to university is the name of the game, then of course you say, well, these are the 2 top universities, so we all have to go there. Well, I don't know how far they can extend the grounds of Oxbridge to allow everybody in. Is that the ultimate idea? We get 600,000 people a year going there. Do you see what I mean? It sends this signal that, to kids that if you don't go to these places, then you are the also-rans of education, and it leads to a catastrophic waste of human talent and ability. I came across this great quote recently on the internet about what it is to be British these days. And I was interested because I live in America, though I am British. And it said this, that being British these days means driving home in a German car, stopping to collect some Irish beer or Danish lager, picking up an Indian curry or a Greek kebab, and spending the evening sitting on Swedish furniture, watching American programs on a Japanese TV. It said, and the most British thing of all, suspicion of anything foreign. Well, we do live in immensely complicated times. with uncertain outcomes. And creativity is one of the causes of these complexities. It's not other species that have caused the challenges that we face. We have. They're just getting on doing what they always did. It's human beings who have created these complexities and challenges. And I think we can't now give up on creativity. We have to invest in it and make it more reliable, systematic, routine, and give everybody access to their genuine talents and abilities. It's the only way we can responsibly and sensibly prepare people to engage with the present and prepare them for the future. There are three big misconceptions about creativity. And I encountered some of them this morning in a conversation at the Department for Education. One of them is that only special people are creative. This is not true. Everybody has profound creative abilities, the ability to develop new ideas that have value, original ideas with value. The trick is to develop them. And to say that only a few people are creative would be a bit like saying only a few people are capable of being literate, when we know that everybody is capable of being literate if they're helped and given the skills and the tools of literacy. And creativity is like that, that we can teach people to be more creative. Second misconception is that creativity is about special things. So people think it's all about the arts, for example. Now, I'm an uncompromising advocate for the arts in education. I think it's a terrible mistake not to include them in the national framework in this country. And we should do what we can to make sure they are included. But it's not because the arts uniquely are creative. You can be creative at anything. You can be creative at science, at mathematics, at technology, at building things, at the way you approach history, and of course in music and drama and other arts practices, including dance and literature.